Yo, what's good, family, and aloha from Oahu. This is day 15 of 30 days sober, which is August 3rd. This is when the start of my leg swelling started to happen, and yeah, it was very irritating to walk on, so I didn't go work out, which wasn't really a good start to my week. And instead, I just try to find ways to keep my mind busy instead of, entertaining a lot of the vices that go around me, because that's such an easy thing to do. I smell weed everywhere. And it's very hard for me to kind of like stomach it sometimes, because I'm like, dang, especially when I'm going through it in my mind, I'm like, damn, that thing smells so good. So instead, I try to walk it off, try to get a little some exercise, because I didn't know what it could have caused. It could have been a centipede bite or a spider bite. So I just thought the swelling was gonna go down eventually. There was a lot of pain when walking on it, so I was just trying to find ways to keep myself moving. So to get a little exercise, I ended up walking to the 7-Eleven, which is like 10, but made a 20-minute walk. And I got me some cigarettes. And because I had some cash from my moving job, I treated myself to some American spirits. And when I say I treated myself, it's because, for one, these things are expensive. They cost like $17 compared to the Crown menthols that everybody gets, which is less than $10. And the reason why I picked American spirits is because they're actually the brand that actually started my nicotine and cigarette addiction. So yeah, something kind of like remind me of home. And I started smoking when I was actually working in Anchorage, Alaska, in the oil and gas. So yeah, anyways, on to childhood trauma part 5. If there was a title I can call it, I would call this title Never Enough, because mom didn't want us learning Samoan. All right, and y'all like, that's not really a trauma, but as I can explain, y'all see why it is. Because her decision created like an identity crisis. We looked Samoan but had almost nothing cultural to stand on, you know what I mean? And so the result was like this persistent feeling of being never enough. Especially when we moved to Alaska. I mean, mom ended up divorcing dad in 1994 and moved us up to Anchorage, Alaska. And at this time, I felt like we were one of the only Samoan families there, right? But granted, we weren't. There's actually a big neighborhood there's a big community of Black Samoans and all different races. It's like a melting pot in this one community. And that community is called the military, because why else would we all be up there? Nah, I'm playing. That's a big reason why there's a lot of us up there, but it's also the reason why moving to Alaska was also the reason why there was this big cultural gap that felt even larger, because we had to define ourselves even more. I feel. The funniest thing is the only reference that we had at the time for us to identify ourselves was the Lilo and Stitch movie, which, granted, Tor's brother kind of learned a lot of the dances, learned some of the dances, and was actually one of the first, he was one of our first introduction to Polynesian dance. So my older brother Taurus was kind of like my first kumu. And because Aries' brother ended up getting incarcerated, mom ended up moving us all to California when we were like in 2004, 2005. And this is around the time where wrestling was kind of like the big thing, and so The Rock was coming up. And I think one of his biggest movies at the time was The Scorpion King around this time. So we had, thanks to The Rock, the representation does matter. So I think that's the best thing that he could do for our people, is to be a representation of our culture. So he became the new reference out of Lilo and Stitch. And mind you, it was Lilo and Stitch, the cartoon version, all right? The original version, guys, all right? So let's not get confused. But yeah, mom ended up going back home to Western Samoa, where she's from. She's from Moka'a, or Mota'a, to say it right. She had to help out her mom, our grandma, take care of some land that she has over there. And yeah, so in like an emergency response to her mom, she moved us to California. And while we were in California, that's when she decided to give us back to our dad, because he actually had the time and energy to take care of us at the time. Also meeting dad's family, this was a newfound shock for us, because we meet dad's side of the family. And I felt like they thought that mom had taught us a lot of the Samoan cultural expectations yet. So we just felt like we were learning to walk culturally for the first time. I just remember a lot of times we got backhanded or hit because we didn't know a lot of the tulos and which is excuse me and things like that. Because dad's side of the family is from American Samoa. I don't know what village he's from. And then when I was becoming an adult in this time frame in California, because mom was in Samoa, a lot of the times I was in my teenage years, more so in college than it was in high school. She missed like me getting my associate's degree, getting my bachelor's degree, which I was the only kid out of the 9 of hers that actually achieved this accomplishment. I just had just like this sour taste of Samoa in my mouth because I like, nah, I don't really care about the culture right now. So, which is crazy because outside of religion, education is actually a power status in our culture. So kind of like the irony of it is that seeing that I was one of the only siblings with a degree, it later positioned me for the family titles that my mom has to pass on to whoever is wanting to take on the role of the family land and the titles that come with it. So, when mom returned back to California, that actually made me more hungry for the culture, and wanting to know more about the culture became the bridge that started repairing our relationship in a way. And there's like this double-edged sword to the Samoan culture, and that double-edged sword is the Samoan falualu, or the respect. That in our culture there's a lot of people pleasing because of our wanting to show respect to others and caring for the needs of others. It's kind of like the thing that permeates Samoan culture. But that, in a collective focus, can quiet an individual's voices and their confidence. So yeah, because of that, it's harder for people to want to speak up on things, which could be could be seen as bad, but I'll just share that. But that hunger for culture constantly made us open to cultural opportunities, whether it be dancing, Pacific Islander clubs. I joined a lot of those things in high school, and even in college at Colorado State. Me and my wife ended up helping out the Colorado State Pacific Islander crew, which, by the way, even my marriage, I think me choosing who I married in life, which was a woman raised by Samoan parents in New Zealand, of all places. Yeah, so my daughter has dual citizenship here in America and New Zealand because of who I chose as a partner in life. And she carried a stronger living connection to the culture that I was still chasing for, especially both of us meeting in high school at the time. I went to Long Beach Poly, she went to Long Beach Jordan. Just seeing 2 kids growing up in the street, very hood mentality, and also having some kind of grounding with culture, that was kind of like the thing that turned me on about her. And so a lot of things that my wife did that I'll get into later video about our relationship. But yeah, to keep these short, my mom's side is from Mota'a. There's a lot of royal bloodline that's been shared with my mom throughout her ancestors, her mom and dad. And so I stand to receive these family titles, which my mom was saying is the Seuli title, the Papa'ali'i title, and the Tole'afo, which are considered big titles. I don't know how concrete those are, but I know it comes with a lot of responsibility. And also, mom has like 7 acres of land in Kiavi that she's looking to find someone who's willing to take that on. And because of my education and my deliberate pursuit for culture, it's helped place me in the position to actually receive those. So yeah, that's kind of what's been a driving force on why I even moved me and my daughter here in Hawaii, because Hawaii is like a bridge between Samoa and the mainland. And so I just felt like this would be a good way to connect with people here, so that way, you know, when I'm transitioning from place to place, we can always find everywhere we touch is home, you know? So yeah, and that was also one of the things about culture that stood out, was when I became a parent, it kind of closed that circle for me, because as a father who has stepped away from religion, I now see culture as that source of belonging and grounding for my daughter. So yeah, it's also why I want to ultimately move to Samoa, is because for something that I've fought for so much throughout my childhood, I wanted her to not have to ever take on that fight. And just putting her in the motherland would just help her understand what it means to be Samoan, right? And one of the most intentional acts of that hunger was auditioning for the live action Moana movie back in 2024. So yeah, that's what helped me connect with people here in Oahu and gave us the actual confidence to move out here. So just, it was great to actually say that I was actually part of it. So yeah, the last 2 years I've been creating this space to take her to Samoa so she can receive the cultural roots that I had to fight for. And so yeah, in closing, I feel like the trauma wasn't just in the missing the language. It was the years of feeling culturally empty while looking Samoan, and then spending decades chasing what was absent. Yeah, reclaiming it through family, marriage, titles, the Moana audition, and now through my daughter. It's the work of turning never enough into this is ours, right? And so yeah, I feel like that'll button up the end of this episode. So if any of this resonates with you, like, again, share it in the comments. If not, always leave a thumbs up, and if at the bare minimum, please subscribe to the channel. All right, so I appreciate y'all for the time, and mahalo from Oahu, y'all. Yes sir.